This program is brought to you by the Genesis Communications Network, a world leader in talk radio since 1998. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Welcome to the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. Today we're broadcasting from sunny California, but it's great to be back in Reagan country. We're here in Los Angeles. I'm out here on a book signing tour for my book, The Clintons' War on Women, which will be out in paperback on Monday. This is the definitive expose of Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton. This book will scorch you. I know a lot of folks think they know the story of the Clintons, but believe me, this book has scandals that you forgot about and scandals you haven't even heard of yet. It is a book you need to read and pass on to an undecided voter, particularly to a woman. The other great exciting thing about my time here in Los Angeles is that you could call this Roger Stone's Corned Beef and Pastrami Tour. Because I am taking my free time to visit Nate and Al's Delicatessen in Beverly Hills, Izzy's Deli in Santa Monica, and other hot spots on the deli tour. You know, good delicatessen is a disappearing phenomena across the United States. You can find it in New York, 2nd Avenue Deli, closest to me, and on the Upper East Side. But whenever I'm out in the country, I go looking for the very best corned beef and pastrami I can find. We've got a great show for you today. First of all, we have Charles Ortel, investor, Wall Street veteran, writer, and the guy who I think has uncovered more of the truth about the Clinton Foundation, which is probably the largest money laundering scheme in U.S. criminal history. We have one of my real favorites, John Phillips, who runs and hosts the hottest show in the L.A. market on KABC, also a contributor to CNN on politics. Want to get his take on campaign 2016. We have legendary political consultant and operative Dick Morris, a longtime friend of mine, a guy who's made the odyssey from left to right, a guy who began in his career in politics as a child canvassing for Adlai Stevenson and ended up as a key advisor and political operative on behalf of candidates like Senator Jesse Helms, Governor Ronald Reagan, and others. We're going to talk about prison reform, and we're going to talk about the need to reform America's drug laws with Tony Papa, a man who spent a lot of time in prison due to New York State's draconian, racist Rockefeller drug laws. And we're going to wrap up with one of my real favorites, Dr. Jerome Corsi. We're going to take a second shot at the entire question of how the Clintons have enriched themselves, how Bill on the president's pension and Hillary Clinton on a U.S. Senate salary became immensely wealthy, worth combined somewhere in excess of $300 million. So it is really a bang-up show, and I'm excited about our guests today. It's been quite a week in politics. Last night really, I watched Hillary Clinton assault Donald Trump's supporters, the voters who were supporting him, in essence attacking farmers, police officers, homemakers, firefighters, average Americans, the so-called silent majority that is supporting Donald Trump. This kind of reminded me of when Barack Obama said that his opponents clung to their guns and their religion. This is what I call elitism. It's insulting. It's outrageous. And frankly, I think Hillary Clinton owes Donald Trump's supporters an apology. On the other hand, I focused a little more on her appearance and her performance. What's wrong with her voice? Why does she look so tired? Why is she increasingly shrill? And then I have to ask the obvious question, has Stevie Wonder become her fashion advisor? Who is dressing this woman? She has no idea what she looks good in. So we can address that a little later in the program. Then you had the controversy this week in which Governor Gary Johnson, the Libertarian Party candidate for president, a man who seems to be making consistent progress in the polls towards that magic 15% that he needs to get into the presidential commission debates that are coming up shortly. Now, if Gary Johnson gets in these debates, it is going to change the entire political calculus. I myself believe that Donald Trump should insist that not only Gary Johnson be included in the debates, but Dr. Jill Stein, who is the candidate of the Green Party, should also be included. The criteria that the Presidential Commission on debates uses, the idea that you need 15% in a certain number of consecutive polls in order to be included in the debate, that's the false measure. The correct measure as to whether someone should be included in these debates is how many states are you on the ballot in. If you are on the ballot in enough states to acquire, theoretically, 270 electoral votes, then you ought to be included in the debates. The true measure of viability of a national candidate really is the ability to get on the ballot in enough states to matter. Now, Jill Stein's going to be on the ballot in at least 44 states. Gary Johnson will be on the ballot in at least 48 states, perhaps 50, although 4 years ago, Republican judges in Michigan and Oklahoma denied him ballot access in total defiance of the actual law. So Gary Johnson had a little bit of a flap this week when he was asked, really out of context, about Aleppo. Personally, I thought Aleppo was one of the Marx brothers, Aleppo Marx. Is that wrong? I mean, it was really out of context. But the media played a big gotcha game. Gary Johnson doesn't know where Aleppo is or what Aleppo means. Not understanding that for Gary Johnson, any media coverage is good media coverage. Meaning this could actually increase his name recognition and more people will realize that there's actually another candidate in this race. So I think Gary Johnson not only rebounds with this new spate of press coverage, but I turned on CNN this morning to see a long segment with he and his running mate, former Massachusetts Governor Bill Weld, also a good friend of mine. So don't discount the libertarians. Now I think it's important that more progressives and more liberals learn who Dr. Jill Stein is. The idea that Gary Johnson takes solely from Donald Trump is false. He may take a disproportionate number of his votes from Trump, but in fact, many of the people voting for Gary Johnson wouldn't be voting at all, and then some subset of them would be voting for Trump, while still others, would be voting for Hillary, as opposed to Jill Stein, currently at about 3% in the polls. Virtually every one of those votes is coming from Hillary Clinton. So I'm really hopeful that Donald Trump will get with the program and insist that in all fairness, that both Johnson and Stein be allowed in the debates. So you have tuned into the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. You can hear us online. We are picking up affiliates across the country as people begin to realize that this is a unique stopping point to talk about politics, style, food, fashion, art, and pop culture. Many, many thanks for joining us here on the Stone Zone. Get here.
Are you guys still there? I'm not getting anything.
Yep.
air filters, making water great again. Taste and feel the difference with state-of-the-art filter technology. Pro 1 G2.0 and Pro Max filters are independent lab-tested to NSF standards. Choose from Gravity, Countertop, Pitcher, Shower, and Inline filtration products. There's a ProPure for you. Buy risk-free today. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Roger Stone, New York Times best-selling author, brings you Nixon's Secrets. Nixon's Secrets shows how Hillary Clinton was fired from the 1974 Nixon Impeachment Committee staff for lying and violating Nixon's rights, and how Hillary tried unsuccessfully to block Nixon from the Clinton White House. No wonder Nixon, upon meeting Hillary for the first time, said, "She's cold. Cold as ice." Find out more at stonecoldtruth.com. In the New York Times best-selling book, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ, Roger Stone has gathered documents and uses his first-hand knowledge to construct the ultimate book to prove that LBJ was not only involved in JFK's assassination, but he was in fact the mastermind. Find out how, and much more, in The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ. Get yours today at lbjkilledjfk.com.
Has your body ever gone low blood sugar, feeling weak, shaky, knowing you better eat something fast? We all know high blood sugar can lead to many metabolic problems. At GCNteam.com, we have a healthy blood sugar pack, focusing on the structure and function of stable blood sugar. Find us at GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. Nothing feels worse than unstable blood sugar. Call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Will the government protect your family from Iran and North Korea's newest weapon, EMP? We buy guns to protect ourselves, home, health, and car insurance for accidents. Maybe you also have food storage. But how would you keep your refrigerator running in a long-term EMP blackout? Using tested military designs, the Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator protects and powers your critical appliances for years without burying items underground or wrapping them in aluminum foil. Unlike other preps, Solarc is used every day to help offset your electric bill automatically. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to learn how easily expandable the system is. Solarc is the most affordable and powerful solution on the market. The whole system even fits in the back of a pickup or SUV and can install in less than an hour. See for yourself why Solarc beats other off-grid systems at PortableSolarLLC.com. Don't wait for the government. Go to PortableSolarLLC.com to learn why Solarc is energy insurance for your family.
Has neck, back, or shoulder pain got you down? Go to sunshine-pillows.com and get soothing comfort, support, and pain relief fast. Their microwavable heat therapy pillows and wraps treat neck and shoulder pain, reduce stress, and relax the soul. An ergonomic pillow from Sunshine Pillows supports your head and neck on long trips or when simply resting at home. Be good to yourself. Visit sunshine-pillows.com. sunshine-pillows.com.
Welcome back to the Stone Cold Truth, broadcasting from the Stone Zone. Today we're in Los Angeles, sunny Los Angeles. Great to be back in Reagan country for someone who spends a lot of time in Manhattan. I'm particularly proud to have our next guest, Charles Ortel. This guy is nothing short of brilliant. I mean, investor, writer, investigator, Wall Street veteran, a guy who writes about both economics and geopolitics. But without any question, the most brilliant analyst of the Clinton Foundation, the so-called Clinton Charity Network, which, of course, I have called a slush fund for grifters. Charles Ortel, welcome to the Stone Zone here on the Stone Cold Truth.
Well, it's delightful to talk to you from the city of my birth.
So I really want people to go to your website so they can get a fuller appreciation of the incredible research and detail that you have put to your analysis of the Clinton charity networks. Let's start by telling folks where they can find your writing, because you could spend an afternoon going through what Charles Ortel has put forward. And what I like about it is you don't speak in highly technical jargon. You talk in terms that the average citizen who isn't a financial analyst can understand. Charles, where do they find your greatest hits?
Well, thanks so much, Roger. If you go to www.charlesortel, which is spelled with one L, .com, all my reports are there.
All right. We seem to have had a little technical problem here. We've lost our guest, Charles Ortel. Charles, you with us?
I can hear you.
All right, good. We'll continue. Let's start from the beginning. What do you think are the most damaging aspects of the entire Clinton Foundation scandal, potentially? And why do you think the mainstream media has not reported more about what is afoot in the Clinton charity network?
Well, the most damaging thing, Roger, is that a charity of this scale, operated by a former president with all his flaws, and his wife and his daughter, who are highly educated people, has to comply with state, federal, and foreign laws, generally speaking. And these laws include having an independent set of trustees, as well as real accounts, financial accounts that are externally checked by competent professional accounting firms. This charity, which was formed on October 23rd, 1997, so almost 20 years ago, has never had a legally compliant financial audit, which is outrageous. Nobody really knows how much money was sent towards the Clinton Foundation and where it went. Nobody. And no regulator, whether in Arkansas or New York where they have big operations, or in any of the states where they're right now while we're talking, soliciting, no regulator yet has seen fit to do what urgently must be done: appoint a conservator to stand in charge, get on the inside of these finances, stop this fraud from progressing inside the U.S. and then around the world. And it's just shocking to me that no regulator has seen fit to stand up and do this. Now, one reason that nobody has done it is that from 2001 to 2013, the person inside the IRS who was in charge of this was Lois Lerner. And she was installed in the Federal Election Commission by Bill Clinton. So she was a Clinton person. In the Department of Justice under Obama, the Attorney General was Eric Holder. And he was, of course, very much in the Clinton White House and in various positions, including in the Department of Justice, the guy who let Bill Clinton pardon Mark Rich on his way out the door as he was stealing furniture from the White House. So, this is just outrageous. And I speak as somebody who's not interested in politics, and I'm not saying that to be coy. I'm interested in protecting people from charity fraud. Some people do this willingly because they put in $10 million and think they're going to get $1 billion back in favors. But a lot of people, good people, school children apparently, empty their piggy banks and send it to the Clinton Foundation. Retired, postal workers, according to a book, or government workers, according to a book that Bill Clinton produced. They send money to the Clinton Foundation, believing the fairy tales that are present in the glossy brochures. So it's an outrage.
Now, when did you first realize that something wasn't right here at the Clinton Foundation?
It's funny, Roger. It's a good question. I stumbled across this by accident when I was talking to a mutual friend of ours, Jerry Corsi, and we had heard that somebody couldn't figure out the books and records of the Clinton Foundation. And when I hear something like that, because I retired in 2002, I was 46 and I don't have much to do, that engrosses me. I say, well, hey, if they can't figure it out, maybe I can. So I started in February 2015, and it took me about 30 days to conclude it was a fraud. And then I instantly realized that, Hillary Clinton was not going to back down, that she was the presumptive nominee back then, even though she hadn't announced, that, I had to do something about it. And I realized that the mainstream press and I don't mean to criticize here, with a bludgeon or anything, but most investigative journalists are not particularly good with numbers. And this is a story where you really need to understand your numbers and you have to feel comfortable with it. So I realized it would take time to educate people. And I set about the process of reaching out to journalists around the world. And you can take it that a lot of people around the world know about this now. And now the politicians are digging in. And I think this is a lot like, when you see a big old building blown up by TNT, it's there. It looks like it's going to stand, for a century or so. And you blink your eyes and it's rubble. That, I think, is what's going to happen here to this Clinton Foundation, because it's a complete and total fraud. It's a multi-billion-dollar slush fund, focusing on the core part of it. But when you consider affiliates, I believe it's about $100 billion fraud, maybe more, and that would make it the largest unprosecuted fraud in history.
Percentage of the money that collected would you say is actually spent on real charitable activities? A tiny percentage. And again, because the trick here, the Clintons are like, bad, crooked magicians, right? They're merchants around misery. They're Robin Hood in reverse. They're taking money from the poor, stealing money from the poor to give sweetheart deals and entrench the political party, the power of the Clinton wing of the Democratic Party. That's what it's used for. So the first trick in the shell game is, anything they show you is something you shouldn't concentrate upon. The first trick is how much money was spent towards the Clinton Foundation, because they've never had independent trustees and they've never had independent accountants who've done the proper work. Nobody really knows. So you have a natural disaster like the tsunami in 2005 or Katrina in 2005 or, Haiti in 2010, and floodgates open up. Tens of billions of dollars go towards the disaster. And the first step is to decide, you announce with great triumph, we raised $160 million for Haiti, when in reality you raised $14 billion, and you steal the difference or you divert the difference. So that's why I say, the amount they probably raised, the percentage that they may have spent on actual good works is minuscule. Well, you've been out front on this, and I know you have predicted all along that the Haiti issue particularly was going to blow up. You really have been prescient in pointing out that this would become a real issue in the 2016 campaign. So, Charles Ortel, thanks for joining us. We're going to have you back because, frankly, I could listen to you forever. You know more about this than probably ever any living, breathing soul in America. Many, many thanks for joining us here on the Stone Cold Truth.
Thank you, Rick.
In the New York Times best-selling book, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ, Roger Stone has gathered documents and uses his first-hand knowledge to construct the ultimate book to prove that LBJ was not only involved in JFK's assassination, but that he was in fact the mastermind. Find out how, and much more, in The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ. Get yours today at lbjkilledjfk.com. New York Times best-selling author Roger Stone brings you Nixon's Secrets. In Nixon's Secrets, Stone reveals how the Kennedys wiretapped Nixon's hotel room the night before the Nixon-Kennedy debate and stole Nixon's medical records from his psychiatrist's office. Stone lays out how Kennedy's running mate Lyndon Johnson stole Texas from JFK through voter fraud, while Mayor Richard Daley stole Illinois, and how JFK actually lost the popular vote. Get Nixon's Secrets today at stonecoldtruth.com.
Something shocking just happened in a Coast Guard unit in San Diego. The old guys in the unit have turned the tables and are now destroying the young bucks in head-to-head fitness tests. How is this even possible? Turns out the old guys in this unit have been part of a special test group for a doctor-formulated fountain of youth drink called Patriot Power Greens. Patriot Power Greens has been so effective for many of the older soldiers that it's made their achy joints, stiff muscles, and lack of energy a thing of the past. Previously, this drink was only available to elite military units. But for a limited time, the creator of Patriot Power Greens has set aside a small number of free sample packs specifically for our conservative friends. But you must act fast. Due to the high demand from members of the Coast Guard, our supply is extremely limited right now.
To claim your free samples of Patriot Power Greens, go to greens75.com. That's greens75.com. greens75.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Injury Help Desk is responsible for this advertisement. Principal office, Las Vegas, Nevada. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention prescription antibiotic drug users. Have you or a loved one suffered an aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm after taking the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox? These popular antibiotic drugs have been prescribed more than 80 million times since 2004, and medical studies show an increased risk of the following injuries: aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, and abdominal aortic aneurysm. If you or a loved one used the prescription antibiotic drugs Levaquin or Avelox and suffered from aortic dissection, aortic aneurysm, or abdominal aortic aneurysm, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Act now. Time is limited to file a claim. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. For a free consultation and free information, call Injury Help Desk at 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. 800-823-3851. Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the Internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Welcome back to the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. We're broadcasting from the Stone Zone. And today it is my privilege to have one of my favorite people, John Phillips, CNN political contributor, columnist, host of The Drive Home on Talk Radio 790 KABC right here in Los Angeles, where we're broadcasting today, and a man who has a keen observation on American politics. John, thanks for joining us here at the Stone Cold Truth.
For having me.
So, with 8 weeks to go, approximately, how do you see this presidential election? I mean,
well, it's a jump ball, which is good if you're on Team Trump post-day, because by this time, I think all of the Hillary Clinton fanatics all thought the election would be put away. In the CNN poll, Trump is up 2 points. And there's a lot of great things I saw within that poll that kind of should destroy the myth that's been put out there about Trump. This whole myth that the never Trumpers prevent him from being able to win with the majority or plurality just isn't true. 90% of Republicans, according to that poll, are supporting Trump. That's a number that most Republicans running nationally would be very happy with. The other number that jumped out at me was married women. All we hear about is, Trump's getting killed among women. The whole Megyn Kelly, Rosie O'Donnell thing is poisoned the well between him and female voters. Guess what? Winning with married women by almost 20 points. So there's a lot to be happy about in that CNN poll and in other polls that have come out recently.
Only, say, 10 days ago, the mainstream media declared this race over. Trump was done. He was trailing by 9, supposedly. And they were trying to wrap it up and prepare the inauguration ceremonies. Now, all of a sudden, it seems that Trump's back in the hunt. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I mean, you and I talked in the weeks after the conventions. I was ready to jump off a building. I was so depressed everything was going. And Trump, to his credit, righted the ship. Why was Trump off message? Why was Trump trailing in the poll back then? It was because he couldn't stick to a coherent point. He was off the board. He was feuding with all of these ancillary people whose names aren't going to be appearing on the same ballot as him. It was the Khan family, CNN, it was Paul Ryan, and he wasn't focusing on Hillary Clinton. Then he got focused, and the minute he got focused, he started inching back up in the polls. What has Hillary Clinton done in the last couple of weeks? She's had scandal after scandal pop up, and she started all of these other feuds with people whose names aren't on the ballot. She feuded with Colin Powell over what advice he didn't give her on the email situation. She is feuding right now with Trump supporters, saying that we're all a bunch of just card-carrying members of the KKK. She just can't help herself. And because of that, I think Trump is going to continue the momentum, push him in the upward direction.
That was really stunning when she attacked Trump's supporters. I happen to know that half of her supporters do not bathe. Half of them are on, at least a third of them are members of the Communist Party. I mean, this is an absurdity, and obviously I'm making light of it, but it's elitism is what it is. You see, they're better than we are. They're smarter and better educated. Of course, none of that is true. I think you put your finger on it, which is, and I think many people miss this, when Trump did take a dip in the polls, say, 2 weeks ago, it was mostly among Republicans. He's gotten those Republicans back now that he's gotten back on track, and he is sticking, I think, tightly to a more productive line of messaging. His immigration speech, I think, was 10 strike, kind of put the lie to some concerns among his supporters that were mostly, I think, promulgated by the comments of Kellyanne Conway, that he was somehow backing off his position on immigration, which, of course, is the core message that got him nominated. And when he reiterated his hardline position, I saw a coalescing of his base. I saw a lot of gnashing of teeth by his opponents, but I really think it was one of the seminal events that got him back on track. Now, add to that the trip to Louisiana, where he did what the president should have been doing, to see what the state of the folks there who were badly hit by the crisis there. And then the trip to Mexico, in which Trump demonstrated that he was more than capable of being diplomatic, of being civil, of opening a dialogue. I didn't expect him to come back with any concessions or agreements. He's not negotiating yet for the government of the United States, but he still showed a stature, a presidential nature that I think is absolutely key to his election.
Right. Let's go back to the Clinton remarks at the fundraiser in New York, because we know who she was talking about. She wasn't just talking about Trump supporters. Let's put it in context of what Bill said the previous day in Orlando, Florida. When he was deriding coal country, he was talking about in West Virginia. He was talking about people in Kentucky, presumably Western Pennsylvania, maybe Southern Ohio. He said, the voters voted for me, and then for whatever reason, they've decided that they hate the Democrats, and they're voting for Republicans. She is talking about blue-collar whites in the Rust Belt, i.e. the people that are going to decide who wins the election. Why, after Labor Day, she would decide to pick a fight with them for no apparent reason, those people in New York have already written the checks, is beyond me. She's a bad candidate.
It was a strategic mistake. I mean, one of the things that's interesting is the extent to which Pennsylvania, for example, is in play. So we hear so much discussion of Ohio and Florida and the other pivotal states. In all truth, Pennsylvania should not be in play in this election, but because of the Clintons' war on coal, which is part of the whole leftist opposition to to big oil and to our energy industry, as it were, there's a very real chance for Trump to carry Pennsylvania. Now, normally, the Democratic margin out of the city of Philadelphia is so great that that state is, generally speaking, out of reach. Also, the collar counties around Philadelphia, Bucks, Montgomery, and so on, where we used to be able to offset the margin from the city of Philadelphia, well, those counties have gone increasingly Democratic in the last couple cycles. So while Pennsylvania was fool's gold for McCain, for Romney, and others, Trump is very much in the race there, and actually I think this is where he breaks their back. This is a state that Hillary must have, and I think will not. John, let me ask you this. If the Trump campaign advice at this point, what would it be?
It would be to campaign hard in the Rust Belt and never stop. Let's go back to the primary for a second. She lost in state in the Middle West that she had no business losing in. All polls before the election in that Michigan primary showed her clobbering Bernie Sanders by double digits. And she went in there and lost. He stunned her and pulled off an upset that had people like Nate Silver scratching their heads. They couldn't figure out what happened. And the answer is hostility that she and other national Democrats have to the industries that run that region and the people that live in that region is not a secret anymore. People know that's what they think. And because of that, I think the only pathway to victory for Trump is through that Rust Belt. And if he just beats that drum and never stops beating, I think he can win this thing.
Well, I've got to ask you about this. You had a pretty fascinating article I just read on reforming the statute of limitations for rapists. Now, some people may think that this has nothing to do with the election. On the other hand, such a reform, I think, might put Bill Clinton himself in jeopardy. Tell us about your piece and why this needs to be done.
Yeah, in California, there are two laws that you can violate where there are no statute of limitations. It's murder and stealing money from the government. Everything else has a time frame where the prosecutor can go to and get a result from the jury. And after the whole Cosby situation blew up and women came out of the woodwork saying they were sexually assaulted by him, they had no legal recourse. Many of them couldn't even sue him in civil court. I guess they could if you call liars or defame them in some way. But people were scratching their heads saying, wait a minute, why can't we change the law for rape to rate more like murder or at least stealing from the government? And in Sacramento, in a place that's tilted very far left in recent years, even the state legislature...
You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-990-1243. Strict limit of one per household.
I used to be plagued by potbelly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. If your belly flattening results are too dramatic, simply reduce use to every other day. Think you might be bloated? See how much flatter New Biotics makes your belly. But hurry, call now for details while we're still giving it away for free. 1-800-990-1243. That's 1-800-990-1243. 1-800-990-1243.
Are you happy washing your hands with harsh chemicals? Are you happy doing laundry with detergents? Are you happy paying high prices? Find your happiness with Pure Soap. These all-natural, earth-friendly Pure Soaps are the very best you've ever used. Buy in bulk. Get a 12, 36, or 48-month supply. Or get items individually and still save big. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now. Earth-friendly and natural soaps. Your family deserves the best. Happiness is 5starsoap.com. Why not put your money up the drain for a change? See them at 5starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Cal Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils. See their full selection of soaps at 5starsoap.com. That's F-I-V-E starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Today, I became a biophoton woman. I put a tablespoon of the Andreas 5-seed oil in my morning One World Way drink and was still happy and energized at 3 p.m. Normally, I feel tired and spacey at the end of the day, but today I felt energy and very clear. My friend at the farmer's market asked what I was on. She said my eyes looked bright and I had unusual energy for that time of afternoon. I told her there was a magical oil that enabled my body to absorb the sun's energy as if I were a plant. She said, I want some. A second One World Way shake with the oil when I got home took me to bedtime with that wonderful, abundant energy. I couldn't believe how much I got done and how great I felt. The combination of One World Way and 5-seed oil produced a significant health event in my life, the kind that makes you feel you've been given your life back with a bonus, and I'm 64.
5-seed oil and One World Way for your fantastic health. Call 888-988-3325 or visit sacredseedoils.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you have the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you, too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Back to the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. I am delighted to have a longtime friend of mine, a legendary political consultant, Dick Morris, author, raconteur, wine expert, and I want to talk a little bit about his new book, Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. We're down to 8 weeks, and Dick Morris's prescription for this election is crucial, in my opinion. Dick, welcome to the Stone Zone here on the Stone Cold Truth.
Hey, Roger, it's great to be here. But, you know, Stone Cold, is that sober for a wine expert, or is that the truth?
In my case, I stole it from the famous wrestler. It just seemed to fit. But,
Good. And congratulations to you on that wonderful book you wrote that I understand is coming out in paperback, Clinton's War on Women.
Thank you very much.
That's the way it is. And really, it cost her December. When your book came out, everybody focused on her abusing of women who were involved with Bill, and that absolutely cost her December and January in the polling. It was great.
Appreciate that. You know, my focus was not on consensual sex, not on adultery or marital infidelity or girlfriends or mistresses or one-night stands. I focused in my book, In the Clinton's War on Women, on something far darker. Rape, sexual assault, violence.
It wasn't even just the sex. It was and the way it happened. Your book exposed Hillary's campaign of vilification of these women. And it shifted the focus from the scandal of Clinton's relationships, including Juanita Broderick, which was crucial, to Hillary's conduct during this, in which she absolutely showed that she was basically anti-woman.
Hillary who bullies and intimidates and threatens Bill's victim. It's Hillary, as you know better than anyone, who hires the heavy-handed private detectives and the nasty lawyers to not only dig up dirt on these women, but to literally threaten them.
Am I correct that your book is coming out in paperback soon?
Yeah, it'll be out in paperback on Monday, I'm happy to say.
Good. Before election, everybody should get that.
Exactly. I appreciate it. Well, tell us a little bit about your book. I've seen it all over the media. It's called Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. Believe me, there is no one in the country who has a better fix on how that could go down than you. So lay it out for us.
Sure. Well, the book is partially a memo to Trump of suggestions of what he might do in the campaign, and outlining a strategy that I think would work. Half of the book is all of Hillary's scandals and secrets and how she came to be corrupt and all of that stuff. The other half of the book is how to beat her. And the key to beating her, in my judgment, is to not just throw the right jab, which is Republicans always do, which was good for McCain and good for Romney, but not enough to win. Issues like immigration and crime and terrorism, those are all terrific conservative issues. But in this case, to bring her down, you need to throw the left hook, too. You need to go after the 46% of the Democratic primary voters that voted for Bernie Sanders. And there is an increasing convergence of opinion of the left and the right on a series of issues, including trade deals and a whole range and income inequality that I think Trump can embrace and can make his issues just as much as Bernie Sanders made it his. Let's understand the centrality of bank regulation to the entire Clinton scandal. When the Clintons left office, they saw that he was going to lose his law license over Paula Jones. And they were saying, how are we going to make a living? And they didn't have a lot saved. They just had his $400,000 salary. Then what they decided to do is to set up a racketeering organization. This marriage that began as a romance and became a partnership became, in effect, a RICO. And the deal was that Bill would go around getting bribes, and Hillary would be influenced by them and would take actions as the possible next president, then as the Secretary of State, and now as the possible next president again, to favor those people who gave contributions. But to conceal the tracks of that bribery, they set up a private server because they needed to erase all of that. They couldn't let it hang out there. And as it's coming out piece by piece and we see the deals that went down, we realize how corrupt it was. And when I worked for the Clintons, they always were after money, but it was for campaign donations so they could win elections and get power. Now it's backwards. Now they want power in order to make money so they can increase the bribery.
That's an extraordinary and I think accurate analysis. You know, one of the things you and I have in common is neither one of us seems to be on cable news anymore. I guess it's because we're too politically incorrect. In my case, it's because I refuse to stop talking about Bill's abuse of women, but more precisely, Hillary's role as an accessory after the fact in every one of his sex crimes.
Well, Roger, it's hard to understand why you are not on Fox News much when your focus is on women being abused.
That topic being discussed less and less on Fox. I know for a fact that Sean Hannity has attempted to put together a program that would include Kathleen Willey and Paula Jones and Juanita Broderick and other women who have been violated by Dolly Kyle, good friend of mine, new friend of mine, and the powers that be on the second floor have vetoed that. So I'm not sure what's going on at Fox in the post-Roger Ailes period. And then something really kind of outraged me last week when I saw Wolf Blitzer on CNN asking a Trump surrogate, doesn't it concern you that Donald Trump is being prepped for this debate by Roger Ailes, a man accused of sexual harassment?
Well, Hillary's being prepped by Bill Clinton. a man versed in sexual harassment. But let me go. Hillary did something yesterday, and I really wanted to get your thinking on it. She said that the supporters of Donald Trump were a basket of deplorables, that they were homophobes, Islamophobes, racists, sexists, and that was half of Trump's support. The other half were misguided people who are anxious about the economy, who follow along with that scapegoating. And I think it's part of a strategy of shaming, of saying that, oh, you're not going to vote for this guy, are you? Oh, my God, if you vote for this guy, what are you saying about yourself? What kind of person are you? This guy is just beyond the pale. And nobody who considers themselves modern and fashionable and with it could possibly think of voting for this guy. And I think it's a strategy that really is very short-sighted, because you could do that to Barry Goldwater and you could do that to George McGovern because there were no TV appearances. But you couldn't do it to Ronald Reagan because he went on TV and showed what a great guy he was. And so when Trump went into that forum earlier this week, he demonstrated that he didn't have horns, that he wasn't crazy, that he wasn't unpredictable, that he wasn't irrational. And as a result, Hillary's criticisms completely fall flat. And she has no issues beyond that narrow tripwire defense of don't even consider this guy.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Look, I think when those on the left cannot refute your arguments with an issue-based response, they immediately fall back to name-calling. It's actually kind of laughable. As you know, Dick, one thing that I have been very active on is the entire question of drug law reform. I marched with Sharpton against the Rockefeller drug laws, yet I had this endless stream of invective from David Brock, a man who would make Joseph Goebbels proud when it comes to disinformation, constantly calling me a racist and a bigot. Look, I raised $50,000 for the campaign to reform New York State's racist, draconian drug laws. I'm just tired of the name calling, particularly when you're defending people, the Clintons, whose 1994 crime bill has incarcerated an entire generation of young black men for non-violent crimes, such as the possession of small amounts of drugs, and in particular had harsher penalties for rock cocaine than powdered cocaine. You want to know who the racists are? The Clintons are the racists.
I think that's all true, but I think there's a larger point, which is that the liberals maintain their support by fashion, by fashionability. What's socially acceptable? What will make you look good at the cocktail party or at the PTA meeting or with your friends? And the idea was to paint Trump as some kind of beyond the pale Neanderthal, so that nobody would support him because they would be ashamed to do so. That's why in some of the earlier polling, Trump did better online than over the phone, because people may have been ashamed to say they're voting for him. And I think that this strategy has just completely run amok. And as the race has become a tie, pardon the pun, Roger, but Hillary has become fit to be tied.
Thank you very much, the great Dick Morris. We're going to have him back on the Stone Cold Truth. Many, many thanks, Dick, and good luck with your book, Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary.
New York Times best-selling author Roger Stone brings you Nixon's Secrets. In Nixon's Secrets, Stone reveals how the Kennedys wiretapped Nixon's hotel room the night before the Nixon-Kennedy debate and stole Nixon's medical records from his psychiatrist's office. Stone lays out how Kennedy's running mate, Lyndon Johnson, stole Texas from JFK through voter fraud, while Mayor Richard Daley stole Illinois, and how JFK actually lost the popular vote. Get Nixon's Secrets today at StoneColdTruth.com. Roger Stone, New York Times best-selling author, brings you Nixon's Secrets. Nixon's Secrets shows how Hillary Clinton was fired from the 1974 Nixon Impeachment Committee staff for lying and violating Nixon's rights, and how Hillary tried unsuccessfully to block Nixon from the Clinton White House. No wonder Nixon, upon meeting Hillary for the first time, said, "She's cold, cold as ice." Find out more at StoneColdTruth.com.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD, and if untreated, could lead to blindness. The good news, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that may reverse some vision loss. For free AMD information, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. There is a cure in sight.
This program is brought to you by the Genesis Communications Network, a world leader in talk radio since 1998. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Welcome back to the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. We're broadcasting from the Stone Zone today here in Los Angeles, sunny Los Angeles. And we try every week to give it to you straight, to give it to you undiluted, to tell you the stone cold truth. And while our focus is politics, we occasionally make a side trip and talk about style, food, music, art, film, pop culture. So we've got a broad brush here at the Stone Cold Truth. It's been quite a week in politics, but before we get into politics, let's take a minute to talk about and reflect on this 15th anniversary of the attack on America on 9/11. As many people know, the U.S. Congress recently finally released 28 pages of the congressional inquiry into the attack on America on 9/11. And it is underwhelming to see how much media coverage those 28 pages have gotten. Essentially, they prove that the attack on the United States was funded by the Saudi royal family and their retainers. It is interesting to me that the CIA director, to try to soften the blow, came out and said, well, this was raw intelligence. It was not necessarily true. I would ask folks to go to YouTube and see the extraordinary press conference by Senator Bob Graham, a former senator from Florida, Democrat, a man of uncommon courage who has taken on the Saudis on this issue and has pounded away on the lack of transparency regarding to what actually happened on 9/11. Now, there's this tremendous tendency when anybody, whether it's Roger Stone or Alex Jones or even Bob Graham, when you start to raise these questions, they call you a conspiracy theorist. Now, when they accuse you of being a conspiracy theorist, they do not mean that as a compliment. I myself think of myself as a bit more of a conspiracy realist. I kind of go in my books where the facts lead me, whether it is the man who killed Kennedy, the case against LBJ, the New York Times bestseller that I wrote on the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination that makes the case that Lyndon Baines Johnson is the man who had motive, means, and opportunity to kill John Kennedy, to arrange the murder of John Kennedy. I use fingerprint evidence, eyewitness evidence, and deep Texas politics to make the case. If you want to know what really happened in Dallas on November 22nd, 1963, I urge you to go to rogerstone.com or to Amazon or Barnes & Noble for that matter. Now in paperback, the New York Times bestseller, of which I'm inordinately proud. So I guess that book gets me the initial reputation as a quote-unquote conspiracy theorist. In all truth, I'm a veteran of 9 Republican presidential campaigns. I worked in the U.S. Senate as a staffer and assistant to Senator Bob Dole. I worked in the U.S. House as an assistant to Congressman Robert Steele from my home state of Connecticut. And I have seen the sausage being made. I have seen the process up front. And after the election of the Bushes, I made the definitive decision to become a whistleblower. I made the decision to make the case to the American people that both parties had morphed into one party. It's the Green Party, and I don't mean the Green Party of Dr. Jill Stein. I mean the Green Party of corporate money. The Wall Street parties, the parties of K Street and Wall Street, in a system in which, quite sadly, everything is for sale to the highest bidder. We have a rigged system, as Donald Trump has said. The rigged system has consistently covered up the truth about who funded the attack on America on 9/11. And, of course, the policy implications, including the Patriot Act, warrantless wiretapping, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, are all manifestations of what happened in this country on that horrific date. So on this occasion, we take a moment to reflect to honor those who died on that horrible day, a moment of silence for their memory, and the fact that 9/11 continues as an issue to play a role in this election is quite extraordinary. I would hope that Donald Trump would pledge to reopen the investigation into 9/11 so that the American people can know everything about what happened on that day. Now, we still have some terrific guests coming up. Travis Irvine, libertarian activist, comedian, candidate for Congress, candidate for mayor, all-around wise guy, my favorite role, stand-up comedian, often my sidekick here on the Stone Cold Truth. I think he's back in the Buckeye State today where he comes from. He's going to give us a ground zero report on the presidential campaign from the point of view of the libertarians and kind of give us a quickie overview. And as I've warned him only yesterday, he better be funny or he's out of here. We also have Tony Papa. Tony Papa has written a terrific book, This Side of Freedom, Life After Clemency. Now, Tony Papa is a guy who served 12 years of a 15-year-to-life sentence for the nonviolent drug crime, and was sentenced under the mandatory provisions of the infamous draconian, racist Rockefeller drug laws of New York State. Tony's going to talk to us a little bit about prison and his struggle with freedom after getting out of prison to help those he left behind. This book is really extraordinary. It is very, very disturbing. It's heart-wrenching, and I did a quick read of it, and I must tell you, after reading this book, I had to get Tony Papa here on the show. He is an artist. I'm a big fan of his painting, but I'm an even bigger fan of his writing and his speaking out in the fight for drug law reform. And then we have Dr. Jerome Corsi. Now, Dr. Jerome Corsi is one of the best investigative journalists on the planet. He works for WorldNet Daily. He's an incredibly facile writer. I can't believe how quickly he turns out these books and articles. He's played a key role in exposing the corruption of the Clintons, and he's going to join us shortly. The entire meme of Trump, Putin, and Russia continues to roil the presidential race. I'm not sure why people can't understand that if Vladimir Putin prefers Donald Trump, perhaps it's because he has met Hillary Clinton. Perhaps it's because he knows that Hillary Clinton is a liar. Perhaps he knows it's because Hillary Clinton will not keep her word. And more precisely, she's a neocon whose real goal is war with the former Soviet Union. It's a fact that it's the policies of Obama and Clinton who have brought us to the verge of war. Now, Donald Trump has made it very clear he favors a period of détente. He favors a period of hard-headed negotiations with the Russians that would allow us to combine efforts and coordinate our efforts to crush ISIS, our common enemy. In fact, Donald Trump's never met Vladimir Putin, while it's Hillary Clinton who has taken millions of dollars from the clique of oligarchs around Putin in order to deliver control of 70% of the uranium production in the United States to the Russians. So is it an act of desperation on Hillary's part and Hillary's defenders to keep raising this issue? I must say, though, I have to wonder who it was in the Trump operation who decided to book Donald Trump on Russian television on RT with Larry King only yesterday. So we're going to talk more about these and other issues here on the Stone Cold Truth on the Genesis Communications Network. Thanks once more for joining us.
Introducing the fastest growing digital currency company in the world, OneLife. With over 2.1 million members, OneCoin is becoming the most powerful force in digital currency. It reached over $1 billion in revenue in its first year. No other company has accomplished such an impressive feat. Now you can achieve financial independence with the strength of OneLife. Find out how to build your financial dreams. 877-933-4747. 877-933-4747. Dedicated to helping you create financial abundance.
Roger Stone, New York Times best-selling author, brings you Nixon's Secrets. Nixon's Secrets shows how Hillary Clinton was fired from the 1974 Nixon impeachment committee staff for lying and violating Nixon's rights, and how Hillary tried unsuccessfully to block Nixon from the Clinton White House. No wonder Nixon, upon meeting Hillary for the first time, said, "She's cold. Cold as ice." Find out more at stonecoldtruth.com. In the New York Times best-selling book, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ, Roger Stone has gathered documents and uses his first-hand knowledge to construct the ultimate book to prove that LBJ was not only involved in JFK's assassination, but he was in fact the mastermind. Find out how, and much more, in The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ. Get yours today at lbjkilledjfk.com.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pileski of the Pileski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas, is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Fully cooked, ready-to-eat bacon. I'm talking thick, meaty, center-cut presidential bacon. Savory and delicious. I buy some, I use some, I store some. Awesome. No refrigeration needed with a 10-year shelf life. NASA pack technology. Bacon. Fully cooked, fully hydrated, ready to eat right from the packed bacon. Or warm and served. Life-saving, ready-to-eat bacon. 10-year shelf life bacon. Ships free at fullycookedbacon.com. Fullycookedbacon.com.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Has neck, back, or shoulder pain got you down? Go to sunshine-pillows.com and get soothing comfort, support, and pain relief fast. Their microwavable heat therapy pillows and wraps treat neck and shoulder pain, reduce stress, and relax the soul. An ergonomic pillow from Sunshine Pillows supports your head and neck on long trips or when simply resting at home. Be good to yourself. Visit sunshine-pillows.com. Sunshine-pillows.com.
Welcome back to the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. We are broadcasting from the Stone Zone, as always, and I'm very excited about our next guest. This is a man that I met at a march in Midtown, New York, against the draconian, racist Rockefeller drug laws. Tony Papa is an artist, but more precisely, he is an advocate against the war on drugs, the enormously expensive, failed, and ineffective war on drugs. He's one of the founders of the Mothers of the Missing in New York, which has been a very effective vehicle to get people to understand how broken that state's criminal justice system is. He also serves as manager of media and artist relations for the Drug Policy Alliance. And as I say, he's a terrific painter as well as a terrific writer. His new memoir, This Side of Freedom, Life After Clemency, a terrific piece of work. And I'm privileged to have him with us here today. Tony Papa, welcome to the Stone Zone here.
Roger, thanks so much for having me on.
I'm really excited about your book. I wish everybody could read this book. Why don't you start by telling our listeners a little bit about your involvement with the criminal justice system?
Okay, well, in 1985, I made the biggest mistake of my life, got involved with drug activity. Bowling league in Yonkers, New York. Bottom line, I was coming late. Partner in the league said, "Why are you coming late?" My car kept breaking down. "Why don't you fix it? I got no money." He introduced me to a guy who dealt drugs in bowling alleys, Westchester County. I didn't want to get involved with it. I knew what he was doing. Things got bad. 7 months later, he calls me up. I was desperate. When you get desperate, you do stupid things. He asked me if I wanted to make a fast buck. Bring an envelope up from the Bronx to Mount Vernon. You make a fast 500. So like the carrot dangling on the string, I did it, went for it, walked into police sting operation. 20 undercover cops came out of nowhere. I was placed under arrest. I did everything I could do wrong, and I wound up getting served with 2 15-to-life sentences for first-time nonviolent drug offense for $500. Judge gave me a break. He only gave me 1 15-to-life sentence because it was my first time. So I went to Sing Sing, where correctional facility in Austin, New York, where I was lost, didn't know really what to do until it was a nightmare experience until I discovered my talent as an artist from another prisoner. And there I started painting. I learned how to paint from him. And in 1988, one night, sitting in my cell, picked up a mirror, looked in the mirror. I saw an individual was going to spend the most productive years in a cage. And I picked up a canvas, painted a self-portrait. 7.5 years later, wound up at the Whitney Museum of American Art. Got a lot of exposure on my case. And Governor George Pataki granted me executive clemency in 1997. I came out and really didn't know what to do with my life, but I wanted to save those behind, so I wanted a rescue mission. I walked into a situation where I went to speak at a facility for youth in the South Bronx. And when I walked into the auditorium, I saw boys and girls, 10 to 15 years of age, dressed in prison garb. And it blew my mind. And from that point on, it would just change my life, where I wanted to do something to change the system. I then met Randy Critico, who we founded Mothers in New York Disappeared, became leading advocacy group in New York, and it took us a while, about 8 years, but we managed to change the laws. And in 2004, in 2005, passed legislation and changed the laws. And then 2009 got historic reform. At that time, I got a job. I'm working with the Drug Policy Alliance. And under Governor Patterson, created historic reform of the drug laws. So that's how I got involved with this. Roger.
Yes. What kind of work are you doing at the Drug Policy Alliance, Tony?
Well, right now, I went from New York base to an international base. I work on many different issues, but basically the drug war and mass incarceration. And this is an issue that I try personally to deal with because, the United States imprisons 5% of the world's population, nearly 25% incarcerated, more people than any nation in the world, largely due to the war on drugs. So So my thing is now, I'm involved with so many issues. The Drug Policy Alliance, we're the leading advocacy organization in the United States. We work for to end the drug war. We envision drug policies grounded on science, compassion, and health and human rights. And basically, we have a staff of 75, and we have many great people working for the organization. We're involved with deal exchange programs, overdose, marijuana, medical marijuana, pet issues of mine, clemency. I've tried to put the issue of clemency out on the table. I've been involved with for a while now with Governor Cuomo of New York State and the federal level with President Obama. Recently, he gave up 111 clemencies. We brought his total to about 673 commutations, the most of any president in history. And, we're with Obama and his attempt to reduce mass incarceration. On the personal level, the new book, This Side of Freedom, I'm donating it and distributing it to all prison libraries in the United States. What I'm trying to do is educate prisoners before they come out what they're going to face when they come out and when they re-enter society. And this book is about my 18 years of imprisonment. 18 years of life imprisonment, my 18 years of freedom, and what I've done to walk the right road. I've been employed for the 18 years. I've written a lot. I'm a painter. So I've managed not to go back inside where the stats say on that it's almost 70% return within 3 years. So I'm using my story as an example for others to follow, and hopefully this will reduce recidivism. And we have to make the connection between the war on drugs and the prison industrial complex. Money raised from
All right. Tony Papa, many thanks. Get his book, This Side of Freedom, Life After Clemency. I thank you for being here on The Stone Cold Truth, here on the Genesis Communications Network.
In the New York Times best-selling book, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ, Roger Stone has gathered documents and uses his first-hand knowledge to construct the ultimate book to prove that LBJ was not only involved in JFK's assassination, but that he was in fact the mastermind. Find out how, and much more, in The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ. Get yours today at lbjkilledjfk.com. New York Times best-selling author Roger Stone brings you Nixon's Secrets. In Nixon's Secrets, Stone reveals how the Kennedys wiretapped Nixon's hotel room the night before the Nixon-Kennedy debate and stole Nixon's medical records from his psychiatrist's office. Stone lays out how Kennedy's running mate Lyndon Johnson stole Texas from JFK through voter fraud, while Mayor Richard Daley stole Illinois, and how JFK actually lost the popular vote. Get Nixon's Secrets today at StoneColdTruth.com.
My computer is so slow, it's making me crazy.
I used to have that problem.
Did you quit using the computer, or did you buy a new one?
No, I called Geeks On Site. They made an appointment to visit my home and showed up the same day.
You mean they didn't ask you to bring your computer to a shop? That's what happened when I called a support company.
Geeks On Site can go to your home or business or even repair your computer online. They have 24/7 emergency service.
If you're having problems with your PC or Mac, call Geeks On Site, 1-800-591-1682. Our friendly certified computer repair repair experts are available 24/7. Call now for a free diagnosis. 1-800-591-1682. Data recovery, virus removal, and maintenance for all laptops, desktops, printers, and networks. That's Geeks on Site for friendly, certified computer repair experts available 24/7 over the phone or in your home or business. Just call 1-800-591-1682. That's 1-800-591-1682. 1-800-591-1682.
Is negative content or comments on the web affecting your personal or professional reputation? Unfavorable comments, embarrassing pictures, videos, legal documents, and negative articles can ruin your personal life, your career, or your business. It happens a lot, and it's just not fair. But what can you do? ReputationDefender.com can help protect your good name. Get a free consultation now. Call 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Call right now for a free expert reputation analysis. It's easy to squash the unfair attacks with our patented system, and the analysis is absolutely free. Make the best things about you jump out in searches. Protect your personal and professional reputation, your business, and your income. Get your free reputation analysis from ReputationDefender.com right now. Call 800-831-0771. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com today.
Ted Anderson telling you about Jordan Rubin's Beyond Organic Green-Fed Raw Cheddar Artesian Cheese featuring whole milk created through ancient dairy breeding, unpasteurized, untreated whole milk on the same farm the cows graze, containing natural sources of omega-3s, CLA protein, calcium, probiotics, and enzymes. I have never tasted cheese this good, and you need to try it. Contact your Longevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to gcnteam.com.
GCN and Longevity are bringing Dr. Wallach to Hawaii for the first time in 20 years. Hi, I'm Jamel Bookaboo, Vice Presidential Marketing Director with Longevity and the GCN team. Exclusive to GCN, you have the opportunity to meet and greet Dr. Joel Wallach for leaders that want to support GCN, your health and wealth. Visit wallachhawaii.com, teamg'day.com, or call 808-436-5025. 808-436-5025.
Welcome back to the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. We're broadcasting from the Stone Zone. Today we're in sunny Los Angeles, and now I'm privileged to have my friend Travis Irvine, a man who is vying desperately to get on the 2016 International Worst Dressed list that we put out from the Stone Zone and Stone on Style, my men's fashion blog. If you're interested in how to look spiffy, if you're interested in how to be properly clad as a proper gentleman, I urge you to go to stoneonstyle.com. We also have a Facebook page, a Twitter page, but go to Stone on Style, and we have style tips for the well-clad gent. And I want to point out that style is not the same as fashion. Fashion is fleeting, while style is indelible. Style is forever. Things that look great in the 1930s still look great today. Let's take the men's suit, for example. But without getting sidetracked, Travis Irvine, comedian, journalist, filmmaker, a contributor at Vice, active libertarian. As I understand it, Travis, you are at a Liberty Fest in New York today, and you're joining us from there. Is that correct?
That is correct, Roger, and thank you so much for your fashion advice. I dress for comfort and not style, so that's my own fault. But I am calling you from Liberty Fest NYC, millennial-driven libertarian event to celebrate the libertarian movement. Austin Peterson, former libertarian presidential candidate, is actually outside speaking right now. So it's a very good event. The libertarian movement is alive and well here in New York City.
Well, it's interesting. Your candidate for president, Gary Johnson, the man I was proud to support 4 years ago until my friend Donald Trump ran for president, and my antecedent commitment to him kind of interceded. But your candidate's gotten a lot of coverage this week, particularly this Aleppo, I don't know what you want to call it, a gaffe. I'm not sure which is worse, knowing where Aleppo is and doing nothing whatsoever about it, or not knowing where it is at all. Then you had Hillary Clinton with that weird maniacal laugh that I think just shows how unhinged she is becoming, attacking your candidate. What do you make of all that?
Well, it was a gaffe, Roger. Obviously, I don't think anybody behind the Gary Johnson campaign really anticipated that happening, and I don't think any of them really wanted it to. And I'll tell you, the person who's regretting it most is definitely Gary Johnson. It's fascinating, though, because all of a sudden, he's got this clip that's going viral. People are looking up who he is. This almost helps Gary in a way, ironically, in a way that he just now people actually know who the hell he is. Also, big week, he got on the ballot in all 50 states, so that's official now. And you saw that Gary Johnson really owned it. Some humility on his part. And I think a lot of Americans like that. Furthermore, a lot of Americans don't care where Aleppo is. Things are plenty bad here.
Well, I'm not even sure this was a gaffe. In truth, the number of people looking up Aleppo, looking up Syria now on the internet may, if anything else, perhaps Gary Johnson has caused his fellow Americans to find out what's going on in this part of the world if they didn't know previously. I also think in the case of Gary Johnson and the Libertarians, any press is good press. Any coverage is good coverage. I remember 4 years ago how difficult it was and how frustrating it was to see Romney and Obama getting wall-to-wall coverage while the Libertarian candidates, Judge Jim Gray, a truly great American, and one of the most enlightened people in terms of his speaking and writing on the failed war on drugs, and Governor Gary Johnson, an accomplished governor of New Mexico, a man whose record as governor when it came to job creation was greater than Rick Perry and Governor Mitt Romney combined, just literally could not get covered by CNN, by Fox, by the big three, ABC, NBC, CBS. He systematically ignored. Now that is not the case. So I'm of the view that whether it is being attacked by Hillary Clinton or being criticized for fumbling what was really an out-of-context, out-of-left-field question anyway within the entire interview, if you go hear it, I think these are all pluses. Anything that gets Gary Johnson's name out there and gets his name spelled right is probably good for him. But let's move on. How do you see this election playing out? What are the chances of Gary Johnson getting in the debate? I, as a strong Trump supporter, have been hopeful that Donald Trump would call for both the minor party candidates, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein, get into this debate. So, Travis, tell us how you see it.
Well, absolutely, Roger. I mean, I'm remembering a story from 4 years ago, watching the second debate between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama in your wonderful apartment here in New York City with Gary Johnson. And I remember Gary sitting there and just palm on forehead. He just couldn't believe that he wasn't not only not in the debate, but also Obama and Romney had the same views, hawkish views, on foreign policy. So look how far we've come. Now Mitt Romney is calling for Gary Johnson to be in the debates. Arnold Schwarzenegger is calling for Gary Johnson to be in the debates. We've come so far in 4 years, Roger, and of course, it's only going to grow. The libertarian movement is alive and well, and the millennials are taking it forward.
Well, I hate to be the skeptic. I hate to be the guy who pees in the punch bowl. But in all honesty, I have to believe that many in the mainstream media are now dining to cover Gary Johnson because of a misguided view that he is taking his votes monolithically from Donald Trump. That is not the case based on history and even based on current polling. First of all, I think people need to realize that many of the votes that Gary Johnson, or Jill Stein for that matter, get are people who would not vote at all. They wouldn't go for one of the major party candidates. And then, while it's probably true that a disproportionate number of Johnson's votes come from Trump, that is not to say that all of his votes come from Trump. In fact, he picks up some votes from Hillary Clinton. With Jill Stein at only 3%, it's difficult to do much polling, but I think you would find that not even all of her votes come from Hillary Clinton, although I think a disproportionate number of them will. I am, as a Trump supporter, of course, hope that she will get better known, and the easiest way to do that is to be included in these debates. Most people don't know, we've said this before, Travis, that the Presidential Commission on Debates is not appointed by the president, is not a commission, and is not about debate. It's about limiting debate. It is a racket by the Republicans and the Democrats working together to keep all other voices out of the political dialogue. And that is the conundrum. This 15% threshold in a certain number of consecutive polls. Who invented this? Why is that the criteria? How many states do you think Gary Johnson is now in good shape in? Does he get on the ballot in all 50 states?
Yes, that milestone was achieved this week. The 50th state was achieved here, I believe, in New York. New York, actually, they were having difficulty with. But it finally happened. And, they've been saying it the whole campaign. They're going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. And, I think the Libertarian Party and their chair, Nicholas Starwalk, they were on top of it on the ballot access. And as the chairman of the Libertarian Party has said, ballot access all over the country, whether you're Green Party, Constitution Party, Socialist Party, whatever, it's very hard to exist as a third party because the system has been so rigged by the top two parties. So the Libertarian Party are just better at ballot access than everybody else. Of course, this year they have a little more money and a little more notoriety.
We got to move along, but many thanks for joining us here on the Stone Cold Truth.
Warning, if you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-954-9674. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-954-9674. That's 1-800-954-9674. 1-800-954-9674.
Are you happy washing your hands with harsh chemicals? Are you happy doing laundry with detergents? Are you happy paying high prices? Find your happiness with Pure Soap. These all-natural, earth-friendly Pure Soaps are the very best you've ever used. Buy in bulk. Get a 12, 36, or 48-month supply, or get items individually and still save big. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now, earth-friendly and natural soaps. Your family deserves the best. Happiness is 5starsoap.com. Why not put your money up the drain for a change? See them at 5starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Cal Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils. See their full selection of soaps at 5starsoap.com. That's F-I-V-E starsoap.com. Or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Will the government protect your family from Iran and North Korea's newest weapon, EMP? We buy guns to protect ourselves, home, health, and car insurance for accidents. Maybe you also have food storage. But how would you keep your refrigerator running in a long-term EMP blackout? Using tested military designs, the Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator protects and powers your critical appliances for years without burying items underground or wrapping them in aluminum foil. Unlike other preps, Solarc is used every day to help offset your electric bill automatically. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to learn how easily expandable the system is. Solarc is the most affordable and powerful solution on the market. The whole system even fits in the back of a pickup or SUV and can install in less than an hour. See for yourself why Solarc beats other off-grid systems at PortableSolarLLC.com. Don't wait for the government. Go to PortableSolarLLC.com to learn why Solarc is energy insurance for your family.
As a doctor, I see patients every day who are losing their vision to age-related macular degeneration, also known as AMD. If you have blurry vision or blind spots, they can be symptoms of AMD, and if untreated, could lead to blindness. The good news, AMD can be managed with effective clinically approved treatments that may reverse some vision loss. For free AMD information, contact the Foundation Fighting Blindness at 1-800-BLINDNESS. That's 1-800-BLINDNESS. There is a cure in sight.
Welcome back to the Stone Cold Truth here on the Genesis Communications Network. You're in the Stone Zone. And our very special guest now, Dr. Jerome Corsi, one of the most prolific and I must admit facile investigative reporters. It amazes me how a story will break on a Monday, and by Monday afternoon, Jerry Corsi has it all kind of sussed out and on the pages of the World Net Daily where he writes. He's the author of a new book, Partners in Crime, The Clintons' Scheme to Monetize the White House for Personal Profit, picking up the theme that we started on in the first hour with our mutual friend, Charles Ortel. And I really want to focus on this question of the Clintons and their overarching greed. I mean, when Bill and Hillary Clinton left the White House in 2001, Hillary said they were broke. Now they each have a net worth that is estimated to be well over $100 million apiece. Their daughter Chelsea, estimated to be with her husband, worth around $45 to $50 million. Yet Bill's living on a White House pension, and Hillary's only held government jobs as a U.S. Senator and then Secretary of State. So, Dr. Corsi, how did these folks get so wealthy?
Well, that's that question, Roger. I mean, the crime, I think, committed with the foundation is what's called enormement. In other words, using the foundation for charitable purposes. People give money and donations are made thinking you're going to help earthquake victims in Haiti. But instead the money gets diverted and the Clintons get filthy rich on the charity, which is used for their own personal purposes. And by the way, I've interviewed Charles Ortel. He is one of the key focuses of my book, his research. I think Charles is a brilliant analyst in New York. I've known him for years. I think he's a genius on Wall Street. And if Charles Ortel, he convinced me. Charles came to me 2 years ago and said, we better take a look at this because the audited financial statements of the Clinton Foundation are fraudulent, and their IRS Form 990s, which they have to file every year, are criminal. And Charles was right. So I feature him in my book, and I think Charles's analysis is central to the really definitive case that the FBI needs to investigate criminal fraud, enormment, the Clintons diverting money to enrich themselves. And that's the key point of my book, Partners in Crime.
Ortel, and of course there's never enough time because I can listen to him endlessly. And what I like about Charles is he's not a Republican, he's not a Democrat, his motives are not political. He was one of the first whistleblowers on Wall Street. He's a guy who identified the enormous fraud going on at General Electric. He doesn't have any axe to grind here other than truth. And truth has no ideology. Now, you have outlined in your book incredibly how the Clintons have profited from a series of disasters. For example, the earthquake that hit India in 2001. Tell us about that.
Well, again, this is almost immediately after Bill Clinton leaves the White House, and he's rebounding from the Paula Jones disaster where he paid six figures on the sexual abuse, really rape case, virtually admitting guilt, and then the Mark Rich pardon. So Clinton, the earthquake occurs, horrible earthquake in India, and Clinton immediately shows up on the scene and says, we'll raise money for the victims here, even though the foundation at this point was only authorized to raise money for the Clinton Library, the presidential library in Little Rock. So Clinton invents an IRS determination letter. They raise about $1 billion, including two criminals, Indian American criminals that went to jail on insider trading, very prominent. And no one can find the $1 billion, including not in the financial statements of the Clinton Foundation. And the victims in India don't seem to have been all that benefited. And the same pattern is repeated, Roger, in Haiti, where the victims of the Haiti earthquake in 2010 that the Clintons centered upon raising all the money, government and charity, are still protesting outside Trump Tower, wanting Donald Trump to make this a major issue as to why Haiti looks the way it did after the earthquake, the day after, and yet the Clintons had $1 billion that went to themselves and their Beltway friends, and very little of it to real substantial earthquake relief in Haiti. That's the real bottom line. As little as 10% of the money the Clintons collect ever get to the misery, the earthquake victims, for instance, in India or Haiti, while the Clintons live 5-star luxury hotel, private jet lifestyles, and each have a net worth of $100 billion.
Seems to me Bill Clinton has reinvented the whole Davos Economic Forum for his own profit at the Clinton Foundation. I mean, this is really extraordinary.
That's exactly right. I tell a story where Doug Band, his body man who created Teneo, they figured out that if the scam could be run in Davos, well, then Bill Clinton could have the Clinton Global Initiative, and he could charge $20,000 for a whole list of shady characters all over the world to come forward and make pledges to do charitable good. And in fact, there's no real charity behind the Clinton Global Initiative. Those pledges often don't get fulfilled. It's hard to know where the accounting is. The accounting is, sometimes buried, consolidated in the Clinton Foundation accounting, or is the Clinton Global Initiative a separate corporation? I mean, these are the kinds of questions an FBI determination, FBI investigation, criminal investigation would be able to get to the bottom of. But as it is, you've just got the Clintons running a big PR platform for themselves, claiming, they're solving problems and doing good all over the world, when, the cast of characters is often going to federal prison or prison in some other country, shady characters giving money to get on the Clinton stage and to, tidy up their resumes, while at the same time the Clintons pocket the money.
There's a Clinton Foundation Canada scandal that we're going to hear more about. Can you give us a little more on that?
Yeah, the bottom, there's two main points on that. Frank Justra is the one who did this. He is a penny stock, that's how he started, a penny stock trader who ended up with a uranium company, and the Clintons got 20% of the United States uranium now in the hands of Russia through money that Justra donated to the Clinton Foundation. And the Clinton Foundation in Canada, a clone, was designed to get foreign contributions, including foreign countries, and then say, oh, under Canadian law, we can't report who these donors are. So they bundled it all together and wrote one check to the Clinton Foundation and made that an attempt to hide the fact that the big check from Canada included a whole list and litany of foreign nations.
Now, one of the most incredible things surrounding this entire Clinton Foundation scandal has been their using and delivering what I think are defective HIV drugs in Africa. And in this, I think they defrauded the United States World Health Organization. Lay that out for us.
Well, the Clinton got the UnitAid, which is a tax scheme in France predominantly, and through the World Health Organization had hundreds of millions of dollars to buy drugs for AIDS victims in Africa. Of course, the money that the Clintons say they got from the UN never reconciles with the money the World Health Organization says they gave to the Clintons. And then the Clintons went off and they bought these drugs from Ranbaxy, a company in India that made defective AIDS drugs, which were delivered by the Clinton Foundation to Africa. The drugs wouldn't have cured anyone. And the Clintons are running this operation, this AIDS operation, out of a office in South Boston, in the warehouse district that employs about 25 people. You can't find out what they're doing. There's no accounting for that office in the Clinton financial statements either, and no delivery system in Africa where the Clintons, if they did deliver drugs for HIV that were legitimate, how would they get them to the people? So again, this is a big money diversion scheme, and Charles Ortel's work showed that in the reorganization of this Clinton Health Access Initiative, which is the AIDS program in Africa, just the reorganization alone, something like $17 million was ripped out of the balance sheet that no one knows where it went. My guess is it went to the Clintons personally.
There, Dr. Jerry Corsi, thanks for joining us here on the Stone Cold Truth, and join us next week right here on the Genesis Communications Network. Many thanks. Victory or death.
New York Times best-selling author Roger Stone brings you Nixon's Secrets. In Nixon's Secrets, Stone reveals how the Kennedys wiretapped Nixon's hotel room the night before the Nixon-Kennedy debate and stole Nixon's medical records from his psychiatrist's office. Stone lays out how Kennedy's running mate, Lyndon Johnson, stole Texas from JFK through voter fraud, while Mayor Richard Daley stole Illinois, and how JFK actually lost the popular vote. Get Nixon's Secrets today at StoneColdTruth.com. Roger Stone, New York Times best-selling author, brings you Nixon's Secrets. Nixon's Secrets shows how Hillary Clinton was fired from the 1974 Nixon Impeachment Committee staff for lying and violating Nixon's rights, and how Hillary tried unsuccessfully to block Nixon from the Clinton White House. No wonder Nixon, upon meeting Hillary for the first time, said, "She's cold, cold as ice." Find out more at StoneColdTruth.com.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.